Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have no doubt that the main sponsors of Ukraine and the Ukraine war uh, is this country called the United Kingdom. And in particular, I'm talking about its leaders, not the population. Nevertheless, mass media plays a good role in forming public opinion. So I'm assuming they do a good job over there in Great Britain. Nevertheless, it seems like even the Ukrainians figured that out, and based on the support that the government of Great Britain gives to Ukrainian leaders, I'm sorry, the leaders of Ukraine, um, it shows. And we have some opinion polls here, very interesting and very revealing. And let's go reading them. This article comes from the Telegraph, dated June 30th, 2022. Boris Johnson is Ukraine's favorite foreign leader, but don't tell France and Germany. Well, I have no doubt. Boris Johnson is giving his countries, not his country, the country that he's in charge of, I would say unfortunately, gives its resources to a different country for certain globalist and who knows what interests. We can discuss about those interests, but not in this video. Boris Johnson's favorability among Ukrainians is almost as high as Volodymyr Zelensky, a poll has revealed. The Prime Minister was viewed as very or somewhat favorably by 9 out of 10 Ukrainians surveyed, in comparison to 93% who thought the same of the Ukrainian president. That's good. Joe Biden was also regarded highly by the Ukrainian public, with 89% sharing a similar positive view on the US president. As I told you, Great Britain is the main engine, and then you have United States, who's the person who makes sure that everybody stays in line behind Great Britain and support their Great Britain attempts to do something to Russia. It's not about Ukraine here. Ukraine is just used by these guys and promise this and promise that, and it's all about Russia. It was never about Ukraine. That's my assessment. It was always about Russia being too strong, too independent, and being a threat. And what do you do with that? What Great Britain always did on the territory of, or how did the continental Europe. Always, just read their history. Always got involved and always got the new power in Europe. And it was a policy for the Great Britain or England to make sure that there's no dominant power in Europe, so they could control whatever happens over there. Sorry, this is what I learned at least, and this is what I read. And if you didn't, maybe, I don't know, 2 clicks away. Or maybe you can figure it out seeing all this scene from outside. And I just use, look at France. Look at Spain and Great Britain. Look at France and Great Britain. And now look at Russia and Great Britain. And not only that, because you don't consider Germany being a powerhouse in Europe, even though it has the biggest economy, but militarily is under occupation, so is a zero. If you don't have military, if you don't have this, you can have this. Doesn't matter. This will beat that in face-to-face confrontation, unless you're really, stupid. The gun would always have more power than the word in this case. Well, if you give it time, of course you can be, weaseling in and turning and so on. But usually, if my neighbor comes to my house and he wants to take my house and he has a gun, he's going to succeed that unless I have a gun too. So I can try to make it, hey, don't do that. Boom. The same thing here. So just look at Napoleon and see how those alliances were built against him, for instance. All right. However, Emmanuel Macron and Olaf Scholz do not rank well because they had questions. Just 42% of the 1,012 Ukrainians surveyed stating that they had a favorable view of the French and German leaders. Nearly 80% of the Ukrainians surveyed believe that the UK is doing enough to help their country. However, fewer than half believe that NATO, the European Union, France, and Germany are doing the same. Yeah, they want those guys to get armed, uh, militarily involved in this. Despite this, more than 8 of 10 Ukrainians would still like their country to join NATO. The study was carried out over the past 3 weeks by Ashcroft Polls, the polling company run by the former deputy chairman of the Conservative Party. 6 out of 10 Ukrainians said that they were more confident of defeating the Russian invasion now than they were when the conflict started. However, more than 2 in 3 Ukrainians surveyed expected the conflict to last at least another 4 months, more than in any other country that was surveyed. Of the Russians surveyed, it was found that 3/4 supported what is referred to in their country as the special military operation in Ukraine. However, there were a noticeable age difference between with fewer than half of 18 to 24-year-old saying they supported the invasion, compared with 84% of those aged over 55 and over. Yeah, I mean, young and impressionable, I guess, but they should be their opinion should be formed by the mass media. But nevertheless, that's many other things that play into all this poll. So let's see. However, this is what I said. There was also strong. There was also strong support for Vladimir Putin within Russia, with 85% of those surveyed saying they have a favorable opinion on Russian presidents. Hey, mass media, Western mass media, what are you doing, man? You're slackers. You let the Russians be propagandized by their own sources now, by their own Russians. Don't you go in there and you do what you did with what's his name? Rasputin. Yeah, it was that duke with that count, with that this and with that. But who was behind that? Foreign services coming out of what country? Say it again, again and again and again. All right. Well, nevertheless, look at about certain things, events in this history, and you're going to find that most of them were triggered and controlled by just a few countries. And almost always you find like one country who has a long history being involved in, switching leaderships and putting this guy in place, taking care of that guy and forming this and that. And that's a good country. It civilized the world. I agree with that. But on the other hand, I can't remember who said this, but it said that high achievement or great achievement, historical achievements, sit or stand on great crimes or big crimes. And sometimes that's very true. Like they stay here in America. In order to make an omelet, you have to break a few eggs. So the bigger the omelet, the more the amount of eggs needed for the omelet. So yeah, the problem is when you know these things, but you are required and even threatened to have an opinion that is false, but you have to, otherwise you will not be accepted in the civilized society. But you need balls and courage to sometimes swim against the current and take risks. This is life. No risks, no achievements. And you're going to have a life of, when you go to the hospital, you're like beep, 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 beep. You're going to have a life of beep. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.